Hello, everyone, and welcome to the ConcaCast, where we discuss all things video games, especially relating to Nintendo. I'm your host, Adonis, and I'm here with my buddy Ryan. Say hi, Ryan.
Hello.
We're switching it up this time. I did the intro. What do you think of that?
I'm sure everyone's very, very confused. Just for no reason other than we should just change it up sometime. That's the
Yeah, true.
uh, but we got some topics for today, Adonis. What's the first one you want to go after?
Oh, man. I've been looking forward to this one for a while, even though I forgot about it in one of our previous episodes. Still can't live myself live that one down. First on the docket today is Monster Hunter Wilds. The second beta test is out. We've gotten our hands on it. Well, I specifically haven't gotten my hands on it yet. I'm currently, spoilers for what I've been playing. I've been playing Monster Hunter World, trying to get my skills back in order, my Monster Hunter skills. But the current consensus is that the beta is really good. The game good, game very good. The
Yeah.
monsters are super fun to fight. The new changes with the weapons are super enjoyable. Everybody likes the changes that have come to their weapons. For me specifically, I'm a Gunlance main. Um, and from what I've seen, the Gunlance looks like a lot of fun. The monster design is just, they knocked out of the park as they always do. Music is beautiful, environments are beautiful. The only drawbacks that I've seen so far are the performance. So the performance on lower end machines specifically is not great. Lots of graphical issues, lots of frame drops and crashes. Higher end machines are much more immune to that stuff, as to be expected. But that's what this is for. A lot of people are really, really upset, but that's why they did this beta test so that they can, when the game officially releases on the 28th, which is freaking less than, almost less, just about 2 weeks away, um, they won't have those problems. The other thing that has plagued Monster Hunter for probably as long as I can remember is the UI. UI isn't great. It's a little finicky. It's something that's always been a problem in the Monster Hunter franchise. It's definitely a problem in World. It's probably my least favorite thing about the game. Um, and it seems as though the third outlying problem is the co op compatibility. Monster Hunter has always kind of had a weird co-op system. Especially like let's say you want to go through the game with your friend, it like the cutscenes can kick up your buddy out of your party, and like you can just have random like lobby drops where you just out of nowhere get kicked out of the lobby. Um, it definitely seems like they've improved on that. I actually was able to watch a streamer and play with a friend, and they were able to play pretty seamlessly. So it looks like they've all but fix that. We'll see if that ends up being the case on the official release. Um, and I'm gonna try and get my hands on it as well. I would imagine that I wanna test it out towards the very end of the beta because I have a RTX 2060 GPU and an i5 Intel processor, so not great PC. I imagine it won't perform very well, but in the
Yeah.
future, I'm definitely gonna test it out and see. What do you think, Ryan? Do you think this is something you're going to get your hands on at some point?
I do, and even before I get to that, I've been hearing a lot of the same things you have on the beta test so far. Everyone's saying, the core gameplay is great as always. However, the UI, the performance as of right now, it seems like you need above and beyond a fantastic computer to like kind of run this effectively. When in reality, it's probably just a little unoptimized. Now, again, this is a beta test. We got 2 weeks to go to launch. I don't know realistically how much more you can do in 2 weeks in terms of performance, but I imagine it'll be better than this beta test. And um, yeah, I think like a lot of the new stuff in this game is really exciting me to the point where I will eventually get my hands on this game. I am strongly anticipating this to be a Switch 2 title. So like if it launches day and date with the launch of the Switch 2, like this might be what gets me to get a Switch 2, or if it's down the line, whatever, if I pick up a Switch 2 down the line, I do kind of anticipate myself getting this game for Switch 2. And that's completely unconfirmed, but like just the fact that it's Capcom, they have a great relationship with Nintendo. Nintendo has already seen success with Monster Hunter Rise on Switch One. Seems a little inevitable to me. But the gameplay mechanics that some of which you described that really excite me. The fact that there isn't like such an emphasis on a hub world, it's more like you're kind of you're out on the wild, traveling from monster to monster the whole time. It does like change up the gameplay like circle a little bit, but I think it's in an interesting way. It's kind of like an open world Monster Hunter game in the fact that you go, you fight one monster over here. I was seeing some people say as soon as they got done with a monster, they just started exploring the world a little bit, and then they ran into a big new monster. And then once they started battling that big new monster, all of a sudden, like the quest for that monster just kind of automatically gets assigned to them, which is like really cool. Like just to have it that seamless and like that fluid is going to be like a really cool experience. And that's kind of like what's attracting me to this game, besides the fact that it's just the next big Monster Hunter.
Yeah, totally. And they kind of struck that really well in Monster Hunter World, which I think that's what they were going for. So what they did in Iceborne, that's the big expansion that came from Monster Hunter World. They did the guiding lands. A lot of people call them the grinding lands because it's like an infinite grind. It's like the end game grind, right? Um, they did that so it's basically like an infinite hunting zone. You can go there, hunt as many monsters as you want, um, infinitely. And that's kind of what the gameplay loop looks like it's going to be in Wild. Is like you just go out there and hunt. You don't really necessarily need to go for a specific monster, but the story beats will go along with what monsters you discover. Um, or at least it can. I think there will be like an actual main story quest line. I always imagine there is one. Um, there has been in most, if not all, Monster Hunter games, if I remember correctly. So yeah, that seamless like gameplay loop, I really like that. I understand it's not for everybody, but um, I think it really works. I really do, and I cannot wait to get my hands on that bad boy. Life is over once that game comes out.
Yeah, I mean, like every other game in the series, it's kind of like a life sucking game. It just
Yeah,
once you get into it, like it's an addicting loop where it's like so many other games where it's like just one more. This game is like let's just do one more monster,
just
one
one
more
more,
mission, because
just
it's
one
like
more.
I think anything that not to be this specific, but anytime like a gameplay loop is in that like 15 to 20-minute range, like it is with hunting a monster, that's like the perfect range. Like it's like okay, you can get it done, and then it's like all right, maybe it's time for bed. Let's just do one more. It's only 20
Yeah,
minutes, and you know what I mean. I've just like I've read about that. I've read about like the psychology of like Stardew Valley, which is also around that same time frame. It's like 12 to 15 minutes, for every day in Stardew Valley. It's just it kind of fits that mold perfectly for Monster Hunter.
yep. And once it's got you, it's got you.
It's gotcha. It's
Yeah,
gotcha.
so I think genuinely, I think there is another game that came out recently called Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance. I don't know if you've seen anything about this game, but
Yeah.
very popular single player medieval story based game. And I think that these are the two big ones this year, both Kingdom Come 2 Deliverance and Monster Hunter Wilds. For me, it's obvious which one I'm going to like more. I'm not really a big Kingdom Come guy. Not that I think it's a bad game at all. I do not think that's a bad game. It's just not for me. But just right off the bat, two really good games
Yeah.
have already come out, and there's another really really big one that's coming out this year. Uh,
Yeah.
you could venture to guess which one I'm talking about.
Yeah, strong start to 2025. And like you're alluding to, another big fish this year, of course, is Grand Theft Auto 6, which we actually have on the docket for today. So why don't we just roll right into it? So,
Heck yeah.
not exactly GTA 6 related, but Rockstar did come out, which, publisher of GTA, Rockstar did come out and they said they fully expect to support the Switch 2. This is after the launch of Civilization 7 on the Switch 1. And so it appears like Rockstar and Nintendo, they are having a more growing relationship where Rockstar, in a lot of the 360 and Xbox One era, they kind of skipped Nintendo consoles for some time because of the lower power of the Wii U and Switch and stuff like that. But it looks like the relationship is coming back together. The quote saying that we fully expect to support Switch 2, kind of on the heels of more anticipated Grand Theft Auto 6 news. And alongside of this news, alongside the same press conference, the Take Two CEO did also confirm that they are still targeting autumn of 2025 for Grand Theft Auto 6. So a couple little tidbits on a game that like is super super highly anticipated. The first trailer for GTA 6 came out over a year ago now, which is kind of hard to believe it's been that long. But yeah, just some exciting tidbits on the eve of kind of like this like swirl of expected more news on Grand Theft Auto 6.
Yeah, this is big to me, especially because GTA 6 is going to be a very graphically intensive game. And if they're confidently saying that they're going to be bringing their stuff,
Yeah,
maybe if even if it isn't GTA 6, maybe it's just GTA 5. Even so, that's also very intensive, which may be speaking to the strength of the Switch 2. That's exciting to me. Very, very
absolutely.
exciting. Um,
Absolutely. And I think like Rockstar is falling into this camp of other third parties. I think of Square Enix, I think of Capcom. They want to keep bringing their games to Switch. They know that Nintendo has this ecosystem that they haven't been able to touch. Think of games like Street Fighter 6 that have not made the jump to a Nintendo
True.
platform. There's definitely a market there for these types of games. I think Rockstar recognizes that. They released the Grand Theft Auto trilogy back on the Switch back in what 2021, I think that was. So there's definitely an interest there from Rockstar to get their games on the platform, not just GTA, but all their franchises. GTA 6 would be a huge fish if Nintendo is able to
Oh yeah.
secure it on the platform if it's able to run. You might need a micro SD card specifically
It
for
might.
GTA 6, but hopefully it comes to the console.
Yeah, you might. You might. I'm really curious to see how much storage that console comes with. I know the Switch 1 did not come with a lot. In fact,
Nope.
it was practically non-existent. And I honestly and I have a Steam Deck, right? You have a Steam Deck. That's got a pretty decent amount of space on it. And it seems as though, like, if you were to compare the size of the Switch 1 to the Steam Deck is definitely bigger. But it looks like the Switch 2 is even bigger. So
Yeah.
more space for them to add more hardware, and more hardware means better performance, more storage. I definitely think there'll be more storage than definitely since last time. Yeah, they're gonna have to have more storage if they're gonna put a game like GTA 6 on there. GTA 6, it's so if I were to guess, GTA 6 is probably gonna be the closest to 200 gigabytes uh, out of any other game that I've seen, because it only has progressed more and more and more storage space required for each game. Now, I don't know how much GTA 5 is taking up in terms of space, but something like Call of Duty, that's like 150 gigs, which is just absolutely insane. And
Mhm.
GTA 6 is going to be massive, and it's going to be very beautiful and state of the art. I imagine that's also going to be pushing like 200 gigs ish. So, um, tangentially related to the topic, obviously. I think this is great, and I honestly I'm kind of surprised, especially since the game isn't even out yet. Um, I think that definitely surprised me a little bit, but overall, I think this is a really good sign, especially for the Switch too.
Yeah. Like I said, I think there's just this like pent up appetite from these publishers to get their device or get their games on Switch. So it's great to see like Rockstar, such a big publisher, like, coming out and saying that before the launch of the Switch 2. You think back to like pre-launch of the Switch 1, there wasn't like this huge third-party excitement for the Switch 1 because they were coming off the Wii U, which was such a commercial failure. Third parties dropped that console very soon after launch. But no, you're in this instance, you're getting the confidence from a fantastic Switch 1 uh, era that these publishers are going right into the Switch 2, already kind of talking about their excitement for the console, which is cool to see. So what do we actually expect out of this? So I am leaning towards expecting Grand Theft Auto 6 on the Switch too. The reasoning I'm thinking that is because from what we've heard, the Switch 2 specs are more powerful than a PS4 Pro, and some are even saying in line with an Xbox Series S. So if that's the case, then well, it's coming to Xbox Series S, so why would it not be able to come to Switch 2? That's just my thoughts. I think in terms of like other Rockstar games, yeah, I definitely expect like GTA 5 and GTA Online to eventually make the jump. You can get like native versions of LA Noire, other Rockstar franchise, Red Dead 2. Red Dead 1 already came to Switch 1, so Red Dead 2 I definitely expect on Switch 2. Franchises like that should definitely make the jump to Switch 2 at some point in its lifetime.
Yeah, we got a lot to look forward to, man. I cannot wait to get my hands on that freaking console, especially if it's going to come with so many fun third-party games, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, hopefully this wait isn't too much longer. I feel like April 2nd is you know, a long ways away, but hopefully it just kind of comes up quickly so we can get some more Switch 2 news. But anyway, now we're kind of going down this tangent of Switch 2. So why don't we pivot to our next news stories here? So, next one we have for you today, Adonis, is that the PlayStation service network servers went down for about 24 hours this past weekend. Just servers go down. No one's able to access multiplayer. No one's even able to access their single player games that require always online capabilities. And not a lot of communication from Sony on why this happened or what was happening in the moment. And of course, it was on the weekend where everyone's trying to play games. PlayStation Network has since issued a apology and said they will give an extra 5 days of service for all PSN subscribers for their troubles. I just wanted to bring this up because I thought it was just like, you know, it's kind of like a microsm for something I want to talk about a little bit, which is the always online nature that companies want to trend towards,
Mm.
and kind of the dangers of that when you get something like this. Also, I think it's just funny that people freak out because they lose out on a double XP weekend or something along that nature when the servers go down. You can't play multiplayer.
This angers me because Sony has gone absolutely gung ho after the always online games, the live service esque games. And then something like this happens. I'm going to bring up a classic. It's something I always mention when Sony comes up, Helldivers 2. They were going to require us to be using PlayStation Network to be able to sign into Helldivers. Then, if that was the case, which it would have been by now had they not gone back on it, there would be no Helldivers online, and we'd lose the major order. Like, we definitely would. Like, if the whole Helldivers core was offline, we would have lost the major order, and that would have been a direct consequence of Sony's current inadequacy. Especially now, we still don't know what the heck happened. It probably is something along the lines of a cyber attack, right? Most things like this are nowadays, but it could have been anything. It could have been their own internal issue that could have caused this. Um, Sony, and then the icing on the cake, we'll give you guys 5 days of game time. Wow. Really going out of your way, Sony. Thanks for that. You could have done like an extra game on like PlayStation Plus or like more time than just 5 days. But and I think something similar happened to World of Warcraft. And for example, when that happened to them, I think they gave like 10 days, and it was only like a very temporary, like few hour downtime, which I feel like that's a lot better of an offer. Maybe not, maybe that's not enough for some people, but 5 days for, and how long was it down for? Do we know?
About 24
Um,
hours is what I
just
was
about
saying.
24 hours. Yeah, a full day of downtime. That's a lot of time. And it's really cool. This actually played into the narrative of Helldivers really well because like all of the PlayStation players went down, and like the PC players held the line. So I mean, I guess it's one positive thing that came out of it. But this is just another reason to not like Sony and PlayStation. Like they just, no matter what they do, they can't stop being either like inadequate or dumb. They can't do anything else. I will say that the working with Katakawa to prevent that like full buyout. That was a good move. That was a good move. But other than that, I can't really choose anything else that they've done out of the back of my mind. This was bad. This was really really bad.
Yeah, and I think like things happen, technical difficulties happen, but the lack of communication is probably extremely frustrating to fans. I mean, it
Yeah.
was also bad timing. Again, it's the weekend. People want to relax, play games. Apparently, it was double XP weekend and Black Ops 6. So,
Ooh.
if you play that game a lot, you lose out on that, which is kind of crummy. When your Xbox peers and your PS or your PC peers are able to play no problem. But yeah, my bigger thing with it is, if you bought a single player game where the publisher requires you to always be online, then you have an instance like this where you really should not be affected at all, and you are affected. Or if you have the PS5 Pro and you want to install the disk drive for the first time, well, in actuality, just to install the disk drive and kind of like mount it onto your system, you need a internet connection for your first ever mounting, which is just like ridiculous.
Yeah.
The reason, if anyone's curious why these kinds of things might be required, is usually DRM. What that would mean is PlayStation, whatever publisher puts out the game, puts out the product, they want either a constant internet connection or a frequent internet connection, and the reason for that is to prevent piracy. This kind of mechanism where they can check on the player and make sure they're still connected to the internet is allowing publishers to connect with the game and make sure, yes, this is a legitimate copy of the game, it's not a pirated copy. Look, everyone has a right to kind of protect their IP, protect their sales, that kind of stuff. Piracy is not great. I understand all that. Always online single player games suck. Just they suck so much for me when you have an instance like this where it's like, okay, we're gonna have a 24 hours where like we just don't have PlayStation Network, and when that happens, you can't play your game. It doesn't matter if it's a single player game or whatever. In some of these instances, my bigger thing too is like what's going to happen in like 15 or 20 years with these games. Are all these games just going to be inaccessible, I mean, if
Yes.
you're not able to connect to the internet when it's like, I'm just going to use this example. I don't know if this is a good example. God of War Ragnarok, which is a single player game, if that had always online connectivity, that would stink because you just wouldn't be able to play it if PlayStation servers just went down completely. So it sucks. I think this is kind of like a calling card and hopefully like a little bit of an eye opener for some people that aren't fully aware of this kind of stuff. But I'm passionate about it because I think it just kind of sucks where a lot of a lot of you know big publishers, that kind of thing, they're trending toward this nature of you will own nothing and you will like it. It doesn't matter that you bought the game. You can't just throw it into your console and boot it up. You have to have an internet connection so we can check on you and make sure you're playing by the rules.
I feel very very passionately about this as well. I think that it's a complete and utter disregard of the consumer. They're
Yeah.
buying something that's not a product, it's a license to the product, and that is not reflected in the product. You have no idea whether or not you're going to lose access to the thing that you bought in 20 or 30 years. We are seeing that happen right now. Like games, this is happening to games. And we're seeing over and over again. Like look at what's going on to Ubisoft. See how well that goes for you long term. This is something that Ubisoft is has
Yeah, they're notorious
mentioned.
for always online DRM, that kind of thing.
Yeah, exactly. Look at what's happening to them now. This is what happens when you don't listen to the consumer and just do whatever you want. Like people are going to vote with their wallet, and this is a great scenario to show that like we need to start voting with our wallets. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I hopefully it just made more people aware of this kind of thing because it's not a good thing when the consumer just kind of has less ownership, less importance in that kind of thing, and with no pro that comes along with this. It's really just a move that big publishers are kind of slowly inching towards to I don't want to say take advantage of the consumer more, but just have more control. They just have more control over the consumer, or the more control over the product than the consumer does at the end of the day, which is sad to see. So hopefully just more people are kind of aware of kind of the nature of like always online and kind of the, faults, pitfalls that could happen with that kind of thing. And push back on it a little bit if possible.
Yeah. And I think this is a big reason why the indie scene is so popular now is a lot of the indie scene is on like third party platforms or something like Steam, where like I'm pretty sure you have to guarantee access to your game forever for it to be able to be on Steam. Yeah, if Steam goes down, technically you won't be able to play the game. But that aside, I feel like that's why so many people are starting to transition to more indie games, especially in the horror scene, which I'd like to talk about in the near future. The indie scene for the horror genre is exploding, like
Yeah.
absolutely exploding. A very popular streamer, Queso. Everybody knows who Queso is. Freaking love the guy. Is responsible for that. But that's a topic for another day. Um, yeah, I totally agree. More people should know about this. And like I said, start voting with your wallet, people. Like we can't we don't want them to be able to do whatever they want with the product. I think lawmakers are starting to catch wind of this. I read an article either like last week or the week before that said some U.S. lawmakers are starting to catch wind of this practice, and maybe we'll crack down on it. I doubt it, but you never know.
Yeah, you never know. That's good to hear, to at least like ensure that like some people are at least becoming a little bit more aware of this kind of stuff, that kind of stuff. But
Yeah, Sony bad.
anyway, yeah, Sony bad. uh, all right, so moving on to our last topic. So I think that's kind of all we had for our topics today. So why don't we just get into what we've been playing recently?
Let's do
I
it,
know you've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter Wild. So is there anything more you want to share about that game before we go into what else you've been playing? Or, all
Ryan.
right, I'm sorry, you've been playing a lot of Monster Hunter World. Let me correct myself.
Yes,
So why don't you go ahead and share that with us?
second strike, Ryan. Three strikes, you're
Oops.
out. Just kidding. Yeah, yeah. I've been playing Monster Hunter World. You actually were able to catch me at the very end of my stream. Monster Hunter, I've discovered, is the perfect game to do while doing cardio. So on my stream today, what I did at the very end was I did like 45 minutes of cardio on my stationary bike while hunting in the guiding lands, which was so much fun. The time disappeared. I actually really, really enjoy doing that. It adds a level of difficulty to playing that you're not necessarily used to, which makes it a little more dynamic and fun. I only took down it was a master rank monster, which definitely isn't easy, but it's not one of the more difficult monsters. I'm just slowly getting my monster hunter skills back under me, my gunlance hunting skills. I want to learn what's it called? I want to learn Greatsword before Wilds comes out as well, because you can have two weapons on hand, if I remember correctly, on Wilds at all times. So I want to be a Gunlance and a Greatsword main, and I'm just having the time of my life. Just going back through Monster Hunter Wilds again, learning all the combos and seeing the behavior. What I really, really love doing is kind of treating it like a safari. So going out and watching the larger monsters and seeing how they behave, and that they've only like increased that, improved that system in Monster Hunter Wilds. So I can't wait. I even have like a I have like an RP character and a costume lined up for when Wilds comes out. Uh, from what I've been talking about, you could probably guess what it's going to look and sound like. um, so I'm really, really, really looking forward to that. I'm building up to the point to be able to take down Fatalis, which is spoilers, is the very final monster. It's like the ultimate final boss of Monster Hunter World in the DLC. I will be beating it, and I'll be beating it live solo on stream before Wilds comes out. That is not just a claim. That's a promise. It's gonna happen. So other than that, I've also been playing Helldivers, doing my normal duty to Super Earth, dropping on to the planet, taking care of business and heading right back to the Super Destroyer, just like I never freaking left. Having a good time with that. There is a singularity in the like northeastern hemisphere of the galaxy that is slowly moving towards Super Earth. We're not sure what's going on with that
Hmm.
one, but it's not good. We are preparing for all out war in defense of Super Earth itself. Doesn't look good, Ray. Doesn't look good at all. But we will be ready.
Well, Godspeed to you and the other Helldivers. I'll be praying to whatever Helldiver Jesus is out there. If there's even religion in the game, I have no idea.
Yeah, it's called Super Earth.
Super Earth. All right, you
Yeah.
just pray to the Earth itself.
That's literally, yeah, that's pretty accurate.
Okay, word. I like that. All right. Well, I've been playing. So I did finish The Last of Us Part One this past week. Fantastic, fantastic ending. Loved it. I will be playing Last of Us Part Two pretty soon after it comes to PC. I would love if it's compatible with the Steam Deck. I kind of imagine it will be, but I just need to watch out for that before I dive into it. But yeah, great game. I'm really glad I made the time to play it. Looking forward to Last of Us Part Two eventually. But what I've been playing after this game is Red Dead Redemption 2. So I talked a little bit earlier this season about how I was playing Red Dead 1. So now it's time for Red Dead 2. Just been playing it on my Steam Deck. It plays wonderfully on the Steam
Really?
Deck. Yeah, the only thing it says like playable, it doesn't say like fully compatible, but the only reason it says that is the you need the Rockstar Games launcher and you need to like make an account, which you need to like use the touchscreen for if you don't have it plugged into a keyboard. That's the only thing. After that, it just runs perfectly.
Nice.
So I've been enjoying it. I'm like 3 or 4 hours in so far. And I think it starts a little bit slower than Red Dead 1. But from what I've heard, like Red Dead 2, everyone likes Red Dead 2 more, or that's the consensus at least. And I can see why. It seems like there's a lot more systems, there's a lot more depth to things like hunting, um, things like all of the like goods that you can like scourge for and sell and that kind of stuff. There's just a lot more systems. There's a lot more things to do. So I'm looking forward to getting into it a little bit more. Still kind of early in the game.
Yeah, and I will say, like, well, first I want to ask, how is the performance?
It's fine. I mean, I haven't like done any tests. I can't really tell if it's 30 or 60 frames per second. It feels smooth though. There's no frame drops that I've seen. The resolution's really good. Like I haven't noticed any dynamicness in the resolution or frame rate.
Wow. The Steam Deck really is a pretty awesome little console, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm happy for you now having played The Last of Us. Now you can watch the show, which is awesome.
Yeah.
And Red Dead 2, prepare yourself. It's gonna get emotional. And
Yeah,
if you
I've heard
know,
that.
you know. And emotional in a good way. I think that a lot of games try to push too hard on the emotional side, but Red Dead 2 is like emotional in like the best ways. You're gonna fall in love with the character. I did almost immediately. Arthur just oozes charisma, you know.
Yeah, he's great.
I
I didn't realize how hillbilly he is. Like his voice is just so hillbilly. It's so funny to
Yeah,
me.
it's a
But
British guy in
I
real
like
life.
him. I like him already as a character. I like the relationship with the whole, all of Dutch's gang. It's good so far.
Yeah, that's what I think Red Dead 2 does a lot better is like the relationship with other characters. Like you really feel like part of that Vanderlyn family. And it only gets better. That game like progressively gets better. There is one point in the game that dips a little bit. I'm sure everybody knows what I'm talking about that's played it. But like just overall a fantastic game stepping into a painting type of game, you know?
Hmm.
So you're gonna really, really love that one. Also, it's cool seeing John. Isn't it cool seeing John? Younger John?
Yeah, it is cool seeing John, and I'm not gonna like describe too much like the first impression of him,
Yeah.
because I want people to discuss. It's very early in the game, but just in case. But it was cool seeing him again, and like I think they did a good job doing it, like just kind of reintroducing John to the audience. If you played Red Dead One, you see him and you have an appreciation for him and his story. If you didn't play Red Dead One, I feel like I mean, it's a prequel. Red Dead 2 is a prequel, so it didn't. I bet like it wasn't lost on anyone who didn't play Red Dead 1. If that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah. So, oh my God, I totally forgot. Uh, we this time another game I've been playing. I can't believe I forgot about this. Also, Ashes of Creation. I've just been playing that pretty much nonstop, as we know. This time we decided to take the war to the enemy. We declared war this time, which happened. I think it was last Saturday, and we gave them more time than they gave us to prepare. That's for sure. And we did battle. I was there the whole time, just going back and forth, hundreds and hundreds of players, PvPing. It was super cool. But the enemies we were fighting against were going into our town and killing low level players that didn't know the war was going on. So they got a lead and we lost again. But
Ah,
they padded their stats and we won every fight that I was a part of in terms of like large scale PvP between the two groups. We won every fight. So if you ask me, we kind of won that war. But jokes aside, both sides did really, really well. It was so much fun. Everybody was good sports afterwards, except for the people who just like to see people have a bad time. They got kicked out of both, like on either side. They got kicked out of the guilds anyway. Happens every time. There's always bad actors. So that was super fun. I wanted to mention that. Alexander is very upset that he lost another war, so he exiled himself again. He is out in the wilds training himself for not adequately protecting his people. Classic RP. Never gets old,
yeah,
man. Super duper
yeah.
fun.
Just swinging a sword at a tree just to train up for the next battle. Hopefully.
Well, yeah, he does do that. But right now he's swinging swords against these really cool snake-looking people. The Najash. They're out in the desert, like a brand new content drop that the developers just dropped like out of nowhere. Um, so he's on his desert arc right now.
I gotcha. That's beautiful. Hopefully he
Yeah,
finds the peace and the strength that he needs, and he's ready for the next war.
it's so cool, man. I really cannot explain how cool it is to have like a D&D style adventure in a game. I love it so much.
Yeah, love it. All right. Well,
So
anything else you've been playing before we wrap up the show?
no, no, not really. I opened up Tears of the Kingdom at nighttime as I
Cool.
usually do. Just kind of run around. It's like I said, it's very serotonergic. But other than that, that's all. Shorter episode this week, I think, unless you have anything else.
I'm good, man. Why don't we just wrap this up? That's going to do it for this edition of CongaCast. Thank you everyone for tuning into this episode. If you like what you heard, make sure to rate 5 stars on Spotify or Apple Music and follow the show to hear more. To stay up to date on the show, make sure to follow us on Twitter at CongaCast. For all business inquiries, please email congacast@gmail.com. Thanks again for listening. Have a great day, and we'll see you next week.
Take care, everyone. Bye bye.